Hey guys, thanks for joining me today. So today's video, I want to talk about the 4 tips that I want to suggest to anyone looking at an electric car, specifically a Tesla. So you need to know these things or look into these 4 things before making a decision should you buy an electric car. So let's talk about the first thing, and that is auto insurance. And I hear a lot about this on forums. People comment on my videos. I've seen videos of people talking about insurance. If you currently have insurance, the best way to see what the cost of insurance is going to be is find a similar vehicle. Like online, you can go to you can even go to Tesla's website under used vehicles. You can look online, Auto Trader, cars.com, your local classifieds. Find a car that you're looking at purchasing and find a similar car and find the VIN number, make, model, year, long range, rear-wheel drive, whatever it is. Find the trim that you're interested in. Give that information to your insurance company and ask them, what is the cost to insure me as on this new vehicle that I'm looking at? And they'll give you an idea of what the cost is. Some insurance companies are more friendly to electric vehicles than other ones. And your insurance company may not be friendly to, or as far as the rates may not be that good on electric vehicles. And so if your current insurance company, if it's like significantly higher than what you're paying now, then you can shop around and start doing some research. So that's kind of the number 1 tip, is do some research on the auto insurance. Tesla in some states has their own insurance company that you buy just right through the app, and it's really easy to do. I found that it's almost double or 2.5 times the price of my insurance company that I use. Also, it's helpful to know that it depends on your situation too. If you, let's say you currently have say you have a $5,000 Honda Civic and you only have liability insurance on it, and you're looking at a brand new Model Y that's close to $50,000, of course the insurance is going to be more expensive on a higher valued vehicle, right? Also, a couple tips to save money on insurance is I pay mine annually. My policy is renewed annually, so it's from November to November. I pay an upfront cost in November for the entire year, and that saves me close to 15 to 20% discount by paying annually than it is to just pay monthly. So look into that option. Look into see if there's a discount for paying annually. Also, you can look at changing your deductibles. You can increase your deductibles. If you have a $250 deductible now, look at a $500 or a $1,000 deductible. If you're looking at an electric car that's relatively cheap, let's say it's under, it's $10,000, $11,000, $12,000, and you're not taking a loan on it, you're paying cash for it, there is the option to just get liability insurance on that only. Now, the risk is if it's your fault and you total the car, which in some cases it doesn't take a lot for the cars to get totaled. You get some battery damage, you hit some road debris, it could damage it. You could be out the value of the car, but it would save you per month in your cost for the auto insurance. So guys, that's tip number 1. Do some research and then shop around. Be a smart consumer. Like, shop different companies. I currently use a broker. I go through a brokerage where they're an independent insurance brokerage. It's not like a State Farm or Allstate, one of these one-stop shops. They can quote all of the independent companies, and every renewal they quote they run a quote on all of the different companies that they have available to them, and they get me the lowest price. And that's how I was able to get a relatively cheap price for my coverage. It also depends on like your age. It depends on the value of the vehicle, credit, married. I mean, there's all kinds of things that go into your auto insurance. The area that you live in. If you live in an area that has high cost of insurance, sometimes you just have to pay that. So auto insurance, in my experience, hasn't been any more expensive than similarly valued vehicles in the past. Like, for example, my Cybertruck, I pay like $80 a month for it, and that's about the same price as I paid for my 2024 GMC Sierra that I had that was like close to the same value, or maybe a little bit less in value, but it was I haven't been shocked by the cost of insurance. The insurance seems on par with what I pay for other vehicles of similar age, similar value. But it is wise to do some research into the auto insurance before you buy the car, because the last thing you want to do is find the car that you want and then find out that the insurance for you personally is more than you can afford, or it's unreasonable, and the cost to drive a Tesla is more expensive than it is to a gas car. So do some research on the auto insurance, but I would recommend, don't just take your first quote. Do some research, do some shopping around, because you can find a big range of costs of auto insurance from different companies. Okay, number 2 is also know this. A lot of people don't know this when buying an electric car, and this just came up the other day. My buddy next door bought a car last year. Is due for a registration, is up for renewal. The registration in my state, to register a car in my state, I live in Utah, they don't do it based on the MSRP, they do it on the age of the vehicle. So an older car is cheaper to register than a newer car. However, electric cars have a surcharge because electric cars don't pay fuel tax. When you fill up your car with gas, part of the cost of the gasoline is there's a fee or a tax associated or built into that price that helps pay for like road projects. And when you're just getting electricity from your home, you're not contributing towards that road tax. And so my state charges a surcharge for electric cars to be registered here. But this is a 2024 Model Y long range. It costs about $400 right now to register in my state for the year. That's the yearly renewable. A similar vehicle, like a 2024, 2025 vehicle right now, would be probably around $300 or $280 or something like that. So it would be less. So I'm probably paying between $100 to $130 per year in increased registration fees because the state charges more because it's an electric car. Okay, number 3 I want to talk about here, guys, is the range of the car. And I've owned 7 Teslas now. I currently own 4 of them. I own 2 Model Y long range, a Cybertruck, and a Model S, older Model S, 85 rear-wheel drive Model S. But I have owned an X, another Y, I've owned a Model 3, so I've owned all the cars. Probably the biggest advice that I give someone if they ask me, hey, what should I consider, what should I look at, what should I, when I'm looking at a used or even a new Tesla, what should I consider? I always recommend getting the car with the longest range. The performance isn't that big of a deal for me. I mean, all the cars are fast. All of the Teslas are faster than most of the gas cars, and so I would get the car with the longest range. The first Tesla that I bought was a 2015 Tesla Model S P85D. It had the 85 kilowatt battery. It had 55,000 miles on it. It was almost 5 years old. But I bought that car, and I bought it out of state, and I was driving it home. And the biggest surprise to me, I was just driving 123 miles to the next town, north of where I bought it, and I was going to stay there for the night. The biggest surprise to me was how much range it took to travel at highway speeds to go 123 miles. It almost took me 200 miles. It almost used 200 miles of range. So I was really shocked at that. That was the biggest surprise that I got. And so that's the biggest thing that I could pass along, is that these cars normally are not getting the range that they state on the screen or what they state when they're new. They're not getting that range if you're going 75, 80 miles an hour on the highway and there's a headwind and there's elevation changes. You're going up mountain passes and things like that. You're not going to get the stated range. And so if the car says, 240 miles, and you're like, okay, I can go about 220 miles to the next supercharger and charge, that's not necessarily the case. So you need to be aware of that. Just know that that's just how it is. Tesla is doing better now in like 2024, 2025. They're doing better now stating the range than they were in the past. If you're looking at a used car that's like a 2023 or older, the range that's stated on the display is kind of the ideal range. And there is an instant range meter that you can pull up under the energy screen, and you kind of see like what the real world instant economy that you're getting. But really, that's kind of the number that usually gives you is just the ideal range. And so don't take that as if you can go that far. It's not really the case. So your car is using energy to, use air conditioner or heating, wind, elevation, speed. All of that has a factor in the range that you can go. I'm back in the garage, and I want to talk about the 4th item. I think this is probably the most important one, and that is the charging of the car at your house, at your location where you live. Now, the real benefit to an electric car is being able to charge it overnight while it's parked at your house where it's convenient. The electricity is a lot cheaper than having to use public chargers, and it's filled back up. By the next day, you just get in, you go. You never have to worry about a gas station. That is the real convenience of an electric car, is just the convenience of charging at home. So first off, what you want to decide and investigate, is it feasible to charge at your house? Is there enough capacity in your breaker panel? Do you have enough amperage in your panel? So a lot of places only have like 100 amp service, and if you have an electrician come out, they may say, hey, you can't install a 50 amp charger on a 100 amp panel. It's just going to overload it. So that might be the case. Also, do you have a place that that you're parking your car at night? You have access to power, even if it's outside. You can install these wall connectors outside, so they are weatherproof. So if you do park your car outside, you can install this outside. Or are you in the situation where you can't charge your car at all? Maybe you live in an apartment complex and you park outside and you don't have access to power. So you want to evaluate, can you charge at home, and is it feasible to charge at home? If you can, then it is good to be able to get everything set up charging-wise before you get your car. So have an electrician come out to your house, have them evaluate your situation, have them install your wall connector, get it all installed before you get the car. If you wait until you get the car before you get your charging set up, it's going to be a hassle. It's going to be an inconvenience. You're not going to really be able to drive the car for really that long, because you really can only plug into like a regular household outlet, and that doesn't charge it very, very quickly at all. Also, if you don't have access to charging at your place, like an apartment complex or things like that, you would have to rely upon public charging, and you can find public chargers in your area. One app that I use is called PlugShare. Download that app, and you can search around your locations for charging. Public chargers, the Tesla superchargers are on there. In my area, for example, I have like 3 different charging locations that are within like 3 miles of my house that are free, actually. My son drives my Tesla Model S, the older one, and I tell him, I'm like, okay, since I'm letting you drive this car, you cannot plug it in at the house. You've got to take it to the public charger that's free down the road, and you got to let it sit there. So like I'll pick him up from there if he's going to charge there. Usually he charges there once or twice a week and charges it up to 80-90%, and then he's good for the most of the week. If you have free charging like that available either like around your house or your work, you may not even need to have charging at your house, which could save you quite a bit. But for the most people, they're looking at a car that want to get charging at their house, which I would definitely recommend doing. I say go with the Tesla wall connector. I think that's the better option, and the reason why is it has a lot of flexibility on the size of wire and the breaker that you can use. So for example, let's say if the electrician says, we can't install this, because you could put this onto up to a 60 amp breaker and it'll charge at 48 amps and it'll put almost 44 miles of range back into your battery. Well, if the electrician says you can't do that in your house, you can't charge it, you have to upgrade your panel, and it's going to cost $8,000 to upgrade your service from 100 amp to 150 or 200 amp service. If that's the case, you could actually have the wall connector using a smaller breaker and smaller wire size. These just need to be wired with 240 volts, but you can wire these with as small as a 15 amp breaker. So you could do a 15 amp, a 20, a 30, a 40 or 50, or a 60 amp breaker with this. So whatever is going to be flexible for your situation. So you could tell the electrician, hey, just wire this with a 30 amp breaker with a 10 gauge wire, and that would give you almost, with a Model Y or 3, that'll give you almost 22 miles of range per hour that you're plugged in. So over the course of 10 hours, that's over 200 miles that you could get back into the battery. That's plenty probably for your daily needs and use for the car. So I like that these wall connectors are flexible in the amperage that they can use, and they look good. They have a 24-foot cable on them, so I definitely recommend doing that. But guys, I'm going to do a more in-depth charging video because the charging needs maybe some more explanation, but that's just kind of an overview of really the 4 things you really want to investigate and really research when you're looking at an electric car, especially the charging. Where are you going to charge? How are you going to charge it? Can you charge at your house? Look at the insurance cost, the registration cost, and then also know that you're not going to get the actual stated range that the car says. Just know that going in. Look at the longest range vehicle that you can get that's within your budget. So guys, those are my 4 tips. If you have any more, leave them down below. But thanks for watching the video. Be sure to see the links to these other videos I'm referencing. Hit that thumbs up, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. Thanks.